Look at this brisket. Brisket, in my opinion, is one of the finest cuts of beef. It's a little tougher, takes a little bit longer to cook. With a little bit of skill, it'll be guaranteed to be the best piece of meat. Let me show you how to barbecue it. First of all, I need a rub. Paprika. We use a lot of paprika for the rub because that's the base. That's what gives the rub a lot of its body, a lot of its base flavor. Some dried chili for a little bit of spice. Some salt because salt is flavor. A little black pepper. Some brown sugar, just add a hint of sweetness to balance the other flavors. Some dried mustard, gives it a nice zing. A little bit of dried garlic and onion powder, because those are flavor bases. A little celery seed for something unusual. Then a little bit more heat, some chili powder. Mix all those together. This is a dry rub. I recommend when you make your rubs, make a large batch of it. Always buy lots of fresh ground spices, mix them together. Perfect. That's our rub. Now for my brisket. On top of the brisket, there's a little bit of fat on there. Now I'm putting a little prepared mustard. This isn't any fancy mustard, it's just a regular prepared mustard. And I'm just covering the fat. We want to leave the fat on there because when it's smoking away, that fat and the mustard and the dry rub is going to turn to a beautiful, beautiful crust. A little bit of our rub on there like that. We want to be very generous with this. We really want to make sure that we're packing the rub on like that. Because this rub is guaranteed to put a beautiful crust onto this brisket. Same on the other side. The mustard is actually a real southern secret to good barbecue. It ensures that our rub adheres to it, and when mingled with the exterior fat and the rub, generates a killer crust. Onto my rack. Now it's off to my smoker. This is a classic design for a smoker. In the bottom, briquette coals. On top of the coals, we put hardwood chips and blocks as well. Between the coals and the wood, it generates a real consistent temperature, plus generates a consistent amount of smoke. Inside the smoker, there's a water tray. Very important to always have some form of liquid in there, because that liquid helps generate a nice humid environment, plus also stops the drippings from igniting onto the coals below. Today I'm using a dark ale to go along with my beef brisket. Put it on top like that. Put the lid on it. Now remember, for every pound, it takes approximately 1 hour. Apple cider. Apple cider vinegar. Perfect. All of these flavors together are wonderful. A little Worcestershire sauce. And more dark ale. Put it in the bottle. I'm going back to my brisket now. This is very important. This is like basting. About every half an hour, we want to spritz our brisket. This helps ensure that it stays nice and moist, and also helps generate that great crust that we're developing on the outside. Remember to keep the lid on. Resist temptation. It is a smoker after all. We want to keep that lid on it. Now let's check our pig. Wow, that looks beautiful. That is brilliant. So I've got applewood chips at the bottom, slowly smoking. And I've been brushing this with the base, the glaze, quite regularly, about every 20 minutes. And you can see the golden brown color coming from the soy sauce and the honey as it's caramelizing on there and mixing in with some of the smoke. It smells absolutely terrific. You can understand how you can spend the whole afternoon nurturing one of these. We don't want to leave the lid up too much. Just keep it on there. Now, if you don't have one of these smokers, one can use your home barbecue for great barbecued smoking as well. Let me show you with this chicken. I'm removing the backbone to butterfly this chicken. It's that easy. Press it flat. Now I need to make a rub for this. Lemon powder, cayenne, paprika, chili powder, dried thyme, some dried basil. Mix them together, sprinkle it on. Now this rub is going to sit overnight, that way it ensures perfect flavor. This is what it looks like overnight. Now that's a wet style smoker. And on your home barbecue, we're going to do something with a dry style smoker. Half the barbecue has been lit, and the half that has been lit has wood chips on top of it. On the other half of the barbecue, the cooler side, I've put my chicken. That way it guarantees it gets a nice low, slow temperature, resulting in juicy chicken every time. And it also ensures that there's no flare up from the fat. Now, while that's smoking, I'm going to make something called a mop. Now, a mop is pretty well a baste. Pineapple juice, some melted butter, a little bit of brown sugar, some ketchup, and here's a little bit of lemon juice. All of those flavors together have a real sweet and sour combination. The final ingredients, a little bit of bourbon. So what's barbecue without a little bourbon? Mix our mop together. Now, be careful when you lift the lid. Don't want to get blinded by the smoke. It's always good to step back a second. About every 10 minutes or so, just mop on our mop, just like that. And it guarantees and results in a perfect crust on your chicken every single time. Now, what's barbecue without a great dipping sauce? I'm going to make my famous Rippin' Kickin' barbecue sauce. I serve this every summer at Stampede. Here's the ingredients. There's a lot of them. White vinegar, dark ale, brown sugar, a little Worcestershire sauce. For sweetness, a little honey. For tang, some Dijon mustard. A little bit of mustard powder to complement the Dijon. A little bit of pepper for punch. For a bit more punch, a little chili powder. Salt, because, well, salt seasons. A little bit of garlic powder. What's food without garlic? And onion powder, for that matter. A little ground clove. A bit of ground ginger. A little ground cinnamon. These sweet spices really help balance the barbecue sauce. Some ground coriander seeds. And then a little lemon pepper. A lot of ingredients, I know, but they really balance well together and really give your dipping sauce a great zing. Now for my final ingredients. Some ketchup. This is the base of the sauce. One can also use pureed tomatoes as well. It's a little bit of a rustic, more lumpier, chunkier sauce. I prefer it a little smoother and makes it a little better for dipping. And this is our finished sauce over here. You know, all this rubbing, basting, and smoking sure is making this chef really hungry.